Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing swell. Main card predictions for UFC Fight Night. Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. And before I get into it, just want to inform you that I am as confused right now as Tito Ortiz was in every single interview he has ever done. It feels like I am mutating into a version of Tito Ortiz and I am the one reaching for those grapes because I have no idea what's going on.
I expect no less than what I expect in my camp, what I've been doing in my...
I feel like an Amish guy in a nightclub. I am lost. In Tito's story about the hyena and the lion, I feel like the tree.
Tell another jackal story about Christopher Walken.
Because I don't know where we are. Because a couple of days ago, I went onto the UFC's website because I wanted to see the fights featured on the main card of this upcoming event. Whittaker versus de Ridder. And then I saw Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov and it got elevated to the main card. It made sense. Then I saw that Movsar and Valiev and Aaron Pico is still featured on the main card, which is... I don't know who's in charge of these things. But has anyone informed them that Movsar and Aaron Pico won't be fighting? And then I saw Bryce Mitchell versus Senor Magomedov, their bantamweight bout, featured on the main card. And then this morning went onto the website once again and I saw Bryce Mitchell is featured on the prelims as the main event. I don't know whether I and the guy in charge of this are in the same boat, but clearly none of us knows what's going on. So I'm gonna give you predictions. I don't even know whether it will be on the main... I don't even know whether it will be on this card. I don't know. But here's some predictions for you. Before I get into it, just a friendly reminder, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell. I would really appreciate it. It would be awesome. You're awesome. Let's go. Now, I'm not even going to say starting off the main card because I genuinely have no idea what's going on. This fight, I'm not even sure this fight is going to happen on this Fight Night event, but somewhere Nikita Krylov is fighting Bogdan Guskov, and Nikita is 11-8 inside of the UFC. Bogdan Guskov is 3-1 inside of the UFC, and it is very difficult to predict the Nikita Krylov fight because in the same sentence I can say that he is inconsistent while saying he is probably one of the most underrated fighters inside of the UFC. And heading into his last fight against Dominic Reyes, Nikita was on a 3-fight winning streak, beating the likes of Ryan Spann, Volkan Oezdemir, and Alexander Gustafsson. A lot of people thought Nikita would beat Dominic Reyes. He was the betting favorite, and then he got knocked out in the first round, viciously. And when we look at Nikita, he isn't the most active fighter either. This will be his 4th fight in 3.5 years, so not a lot of activity. While Bogdan, on the other hand, debuted against Volkan Oezdemir and lost, which happens. But he's currently on a 3-fight winning streak. He has knocked out Ryan Spann. He has a lot of power. I think Bogdan wants this fight standing up. And honestly, I think Nikita will be comfortable wherever this fight takes place. He is a very well-rounded fighter. And if this fight takes place on the feet, I think Nikita will be comfortable. If it goes down to the mat, I think Nikita will be comfortable. I think Nikita has better cardio, better stamina. So the longer this fight progresses, the better chances Nikita has of beating Bogdan Guskov. I think Bogdan wants to finish it early. I think that's his best bet. And I do think Nikita will try and exploit one of Bogdan's weaknesses, which feels like takedown defense. It feels like Bogdan doesn't have great takedown defense. He got taken down versus Ryan Spann. He got taken down in one of his other fights. So I feel like Nikita has the advantage, especially with regards to experience inside the UFC. Nikita has had 19 fights. Bogdan has had 4. So Nikita has seen everything. And not to mention, he also has wins over the likes of, OSP, Johnny Walker. And yeah, he is an experienced vet inside of the UFC. So I'm going to pick Nikita Krylov to win this fight. And I'm going to say, I think it's second round knockout. I think Bogdan is going to get tired. I think Nikita will wear him down. And I think Nikita Krylov will win this fight. I do think that Nikita will be, somewhat reluctant in the first round, knowing what Bogdan is capable of, knowing what power feels like, especially seeing his last fight against Dominic Reyes where he got knocked out. But I think he gets comfortable in the first round. I think second round he knocks Bogdan Guskov out. Then moving on to the second fight inside of the flyweight division, Asu Almabayev versus Ramazan Bek Temirov. Now, Asu Almabayev is 4-1 within the UFC, and Ramazan Temirov is 2-0 within the UFC, and immediately already leaning towards Asu Almabayev winning this fight. Reason being, prior to losing to Manel Kape, Asu Almabayev hasn't lost a fight in 8 years, which is insane. And, losing to Manel Kape, that's fine. Because Manel Kape would have fought Brandon Royval to be the #1 contender to fight Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight championship of the UFC. Manel Kape is also, by the way, one of the guys that had the closest fight with Alexandre Pantoja. So Manel Kape is really good. And it looks like he, sorted out his problems of wrestling where it felt like a weakness in the past. Asu Almabayev tried to exploit that, and it didn't happen. Now, with that being said, do I think that Ramazan Temirov is of the same caliber as Manel Kape? No. I do think that Asu Almabayev will be able to take Ramazan down. And Ramazan basically wants this fight playing out on the feet. He has a knockout win over CJ Figueroa. A guy that has knockout power inside of the flyweight division it happens very seldom. Because they are so small, having knockout power is a massive advantage. That is basically why Kai Kara-France had an opportunity to fight Alexandre Pantoja once again for the flyweight championship of the UFC. So even though I think Ramazan is impressive, I enjoy watching him fight. I enjoy watching his striking. He is a very sophisticated striker, does have good kicks, good punches. I just think Asu wins this fight. I think his wrestling is extremely dominant, something that he has used to his benefit in every single fight he has had. Even in the Manel Kape fight, he tried to impose his will on Manel Kape. His wrestling he used against Ode Osborne, CJ Figueroa. He is a really good wrestler. It is really difficult, especially for guys that are, flyweights, to really stop a wrestling heavy fighter. That's why Alexandre Pantoja is so good. Now, I'm not comparing Asu to Alexandre. I'm just saying that whenever you have a guy that is that wrestling heavy, it is extremely difficult to prepare for. We saw Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev. And even though, I've seen paint on a wall, being more entertaining, it is a massive advantage to have. Is good wrestling, especially within the flyweight division. So I think Asu gets it done, and I'm gonna say unanimous decision. I think it goes the distance, and I think Asu Almabayev wins this fight. Then moving on to the next fight inside of the middleweight division was Shara Bullet Magomedov taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Now I'm going to try and do this as respectfully as possible, but Shara Bullet Magomedov wins via double spinning back fist, eagle headbutt, falcon punch, via however he feels like, with all due respect to Marc-Andre Barriault. And I don't really feel like I have to go into records for this particular matchup, because Marc-Andre Barriault is extremely entertaining to watch. Out of his last 9 fights, 2 of them have seen the judges. The rest, stoppages. This guy lives and dies by the sword. It's more dying than living, but it is still extremely exciting to watch, and this feels like a setup. And even though I was elated when Marc-Andre Barriault got his knockout win over Bruno Silva in his last fight, this feels like they are sacrificing Marc-Andre Barriault for the joy of the people, to see Shara Bullet execute someone. And I know that Shara was overhyped. When he fought Michael Venom Page, I actually had MVP winning that fight. But I do think Shara is really good. I do think that he is... I think he's not a top 5 or a top 10 at the moment, middleweight in the world. But he could definitely get there. He has a lot of potential. He is really sophisticated with regards to his striking. And he is insane. He's extremely durable as well. Didn't look like I've seen him get hurt. I mean, he has one eye. He is fighting with one eye. And we've seen the performances he's put in. So I don't feel like Marc-Andre stands a chance. Now, obviously, this is mixed martial arts, but I think Shara will be a minus 600 betting favorite in this fight. I think Marc-Andre could win if they clone him and two of them fought Shara at the same time while Shara was handcuffed to his feet. Then I think Marc-Andre would stand a chance respectfully. But with regards to his guard, the way that he defends strikes, it's not really good. He does leave openings for a guy with Shara Bullet's potential of his superior timing, his superior speed. He is really good. I think he clips him. I think this fight goes 2 rounds. And then Shara will stand there with, Marc-Andre's head and then show it to the world. I think Shara Bullet wins via KO. And I'm going to say second round KO. I just don't see this going any other way. Even if Marc-Andre Barriault goes wrestling heavy, I think Shara Bullet will focus on that because that's definitely a part of his game that he needs to improve on. This just doesn't feel good at all. But then moving on to the co-main event of this Fight Night event, Petr Yan versus Marcus Mcghee. Now, Petr Yan is 10-4 with the new UFC. Marcus Mcghee is 4-0 with the new UFC. And once again, I find it extremely difficult to pick against Petr in this spot. Because according to myself, I think Petr Yan is one of the best strikers ever within the bantamweight division of the UFC. And I'll go as far as to say, if a fight plays out on the feet for its entirety, and it's a 5-round fight, Petr Yan beats every single fighter ever within the bantamweight division of the UFC. If it's a striking match, that's how good Petr Yan is. With his methodical approach, his timing, his patience, looking for openings, making them if he doesn't find them, he is as good of a boxer as I have seen within the UFC ever. That's how good Petr is. And we've seen Petr lose to the likes of Aljamain Sterling. But Aljo had a very wrestling heavy approach. We saw him lose to Merab, the same thing. We saw him lose to Aljo disqualification. And we saw him lose to Sean O'Malley. And I think majority of the people around the world thinks Petr Yan beat Sean O'Malley. And I'm one of them. And I think had that been a 5-round fight, I think Petr would have convincingly beat Sean O'Malley. That's how good Petr Yan is. And the problem is Marcus Mcghee is also a striker. A guy that has a lot of knockout power. But will he bring something to the table that Petr Yan hasn't seen? I mean, think about the strikers Petr has faced. Corey Sandhagen will probably fight Merab next for the Bantamweight Championship. Davison Figueiredo, Jose Aldo, Song Yadong. These guys are monsters within the Bantamweight division, which is, kind of funny. That's how good they are. And I don't think Marcus will be able to exploit Petr Yan's weaknesses, if he has any, with regards to a striking contest. I don't even think that Marcus Mcghee would be able to switch things up and take Petr Yan down, even though I think that is, his road to victory. Petr Yan is currently ranked number 3 in the bantamweight rankings. Marcus is ranked number 13. Can you see? I don't know how they got to this conclusion, but I think Petr Yan beats him. And I think he does it convincingly. I think this fight goes the distance, but I think Petr beats him rather convincingly. And the only problem I actually see with my own pick is Petr oftentimes ends up sacrificing the first round. He is extremely patient, and he basically uses the first round to see which openings his opponent will give him, which feints his opponent bite on, and basically use that to his advantage in the later rounds. The problem is, in a 3-round fight, you don't necessarily have that time You don't necessarily have the time to sacrifice around. We saw that with Patricio Pitbull in his fight against Yair Rodriguez and almost in his fight last week against Dan Ige. So it is a pressing matter. It will be interesting to see how Piotr adapts to a 3-round fight. But I do think he gets it done. But if he doesn't, Marcus Mcghee wins via unanimous decision. I don't think anyone is getting knocked out in this fight. But I do tend to go and lean towards Piotr Jan because he is vastly more experienced, and honestly he's one of the best bantamweights I have ever seen within the UFC. Now obviously Merab is up there, Dominic Cruz is up there, but I think Piotr Jan is close. That's how good I think he is. So I'm gonna go Piotr Jan via unanimous decision. Then moving on to the main event, middleweight division, Robert Whittaker versus RDR Reinier de Ridder. Now I'm gonna pick Robert Whittaker to win this fight. Reason being, it's not because Reinier isn't good. I genuinely think Reinier de Ridder is underrated, undervalued, and I do think that potentially he could become a #1 contender within the middleweight division. The big discrepancy for me is experience within the UFC. Emphasis on within the UFC, because I know Reinier outside of the UFC was champion at 1, but this is a different beast. This is a different animal. This is the 1% of the 1%, probably of the 1%. And that's where Robert Whittaker has been insane for a very long time now. Robert Whittaker has had 17 wins within the UFC, 6 losses. And if we look at the guys he has lost to Izzy twice, Dricus and Hamzat. Those are the only guys he has lost to within the middleweight division. So basically he lost to arguably the second best middleweight of all time. He has lost to Hamzat, who might be top 5 this isn't human within the UFC ever, and then lost to Dricus, who, by the way, yeah, everybody loses to Dricus, so it's fine. Those are the guys Rob has lost to. If you look at the guys he has beaten, Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, Darren Till, the list goes on, Yoel Romero twice, he has seen a lot of monsters in his life, and he has tamed a lot of beasts in his UFC career. Robert Whittaker is genuinely insane. Now I do see online that people have worries surrounding Rob because of his last performance against Hamzat. Let me tell you right now, what happened to Robert Whittaker in the Hamzat fight is something that you'll probably never see in your life again. It is, I don't want to say it's a fluke, because obviously Hamzat cranked and then broke Rob's teeth, but that rarely happens ever. And it's somewhat of a freak accident. It's not really something that you can avoid or something that you can prepare for. If we take that out of the equation, Rob has looked insane in his last couple of fights. Now, obviously, he had the loss to Dricus du Plessis, but Dricus was coming up and climbing the middleweight rankings. A lot of people thought that Dricus would be easy, but he's so difficult to prepare for. With Reinier, it feels like Rob has seen something like this before. I mean, he has been able to avoid takedowns from Yoel Romero, and that's basically going to be the game. I don't think standing up Reinier will be problematic for Robert Whittaker. I mean, Rob has fought some really sophisticated strikers. I mean, Jared Cannonier, Darren Till, guys that are really good at striking. And he has picked a lot of them apart. And I think he'll pick Reinier apart as well. Reinier is gonna want to clinch. And basically, wants this fight going to the mat where he is on top, where he can submit Robert Whittaker. If that happens, Rob is in a lot of trouble. But I do think preparation-wise, Rob will be prepared for that part of Reinier's game. I do think with Rob striking, he is miles ahead of Reinier de Ridder. I think he'll be able to pick him apart. I don't think he wins via stoppage. I do think this fight goes the distance. Reinier has shown to gas out, especially when he fought Gerald Meerschaert. He looked like he was on his last breath. And that is definitely something that he is going to have to improve on, especially as he progresses within the middleweight rankings. If you fight someone like Nassourdine Imavov, if you fight someone like Caio Barriault, yeah, if you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get killed. So I think Robert Whittaker, with regards to the fight, with regards to being at 5 rounds, will be able to, start relatively calmly, see what openings he has. He has incredible timing, and he's just really, really good. I do think Rob gets it done, and I'm gonna say via unanimous decision. I think this goes the distance, and I think Rob wins 4-1. But that's basically it for the video. Let me know in the comment section which picks do you agree with, which do you disagree with. I would really appreciate it. Have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.